factors. One is interest. If you bring a topic which is of less interest to the learners, then they are highly likely to be demotivated when it comes to learning. It's like us human beings. You remember last time during COVID, whenever they announced that the president was going to give a speech, because most people wanted to hear whether the president was going to lift the lockdown or not, everybody would be on television or the radio. So the interest was high. This also applies to learners. Anything that you are going to introduce in class must be of high interest to the learners. So as a teacher, you need to do diagnostic assessment and do students have any background information about this? That is one. Then two, even the methods that you use, the assessment methods that you are going to use. For us here, we assume that assessing learners on paper is of interest to all students, which might not be possible. Can we use different methods? For example, if students are going to, if they are being assessed about anything to do with the solar system, must they answer questions on a paper? Why don't you allow those ones who want to create a model of the solar system to do that? They come and present to their friends. Those who want to write an essay, why don't you allow them? Those who want to create Google Slides, why don't you allow them? But the challenge with us here is everything must be on paper. Ask this question, you answer it this way. And all answers are expected. Yet these learners are not from the same background.
Then how does it motivate or demotivate a learner?
Yeah, like I have said, if at the diagnostic level, if the students find interested in the topic, then they are going to be motivated to engage in the learning process, and even they will be motivated. Like I've told you.
No, I'm talking about the assessment.
Yes.
How does PLE, how does UCE, how do they motivate or demotivate a learner?
For a student who does those examinations and scores high and passes, that child will be motivated.
Okay.
But one who doesn't will be demotivated. And I told you there is
not inspired to work harder.
Exactly. Exactly. And we are talking of PLE. Let us talk at the end of the term. A child comes and does examinations and finds that he has got 0 in everything. The child is going to lose morale. But one who gets, I'm a teacher, if a child gets something wrong and is given right, he's even motivated, much as the answer he has given is wrong. But because he has been given a tick or he has been given 90 or whatever, the child gets motivated by the marks he's seeing or the grade. So that there is an issue there. A child who has been performing so well, you give an examination and is the last in class, is going to get demotivated. Plan. So we have to be careful with when we are giving these kinds of assessments. What methods are we using and what tools are we using? There is a very important tool that we use in assessment. It's called a rubric. A rubric outlines what my expectations are when I'm asking you to carry out a particular function or an assessment. You are going to carry out an investigation, then I tell you I'm going to look at organization. If your work is well organized, I'm going to give you 4. If it's not well organized, I give you 2 or 3. So the student, this one checks, and it helps the student to check what is expected of when he's writing his or her final assessment task.
Well, we are still looking at quality issues regarding assessment, and we've decided to focus on the relevance of PLE, UCE, and UACE. These are national examinations that our students, people sit at the end of every particular grouping of our education system. And I'm still with Bendera here trying to discuss and understand how best we can improve this. We've looked at sometimes the imbalances that are created, but also sometimes, according to him, he says, such systems sometimes are discriminatory in nature because various people have various capacities of absorbing and learning, and we may only look at those that have the ability to recall but leave alone others that have various forms of abilities and render them as if they are not so much able, yet they have other areas if they were tested, and they would prove to be very, very bright indeed there and score highly. Now, Government of Uganda, Ministry of Education, per se, and the National Curriculum Development Center are moving towards a process where it is not only the pen and paper that determine the progress to another level or the success, or that are used to examine. And now we've gone into the lower curriculum. Recently I was seeing teachers being told to fill in these forms of assessment and continuous assessment, so they will matter on the final examination that the students are going to be sitting. Let's also talk about that. As a third world country, as this is something that fairly is new, and of course we had 2 years of COVID now, we rolled it out. Some teachers still have challenges interpreting, understanding what it takes. I need your view on that.
Yeah, when you're talking about holistic approach to education, I think that is the best thing that we have to do. And you have talked of continuous assessment. This one, in our education term, we say formative assessment. We have the diagnostic, which happens at the beginning. The formative is the ongoing. Then the summative comes at the end to tell whether the student is able to. But this formative, the ongoing one, is very, very important. Why? This is what's going to give the true reflection of the child's potential. You've given a project today. You're assessing a number of things. Self-management skills, research skills, communication skills, all those. You cannot assess all this in a single day or on a paper. But that's why the government is trying to say, can we put this in place? Like I have told you, examination should not only be education should only be there to help students do examinations to pass to go to the next level, but to prepare them for the future. So these positions that we need these children to have in the future must be tested on daily basis. Assessment. You are going to go to a place of work. You are here working with a number of colleagues here. If your social skills are not developed, you will always have issues with your friends. So these are things that we need to test our learners in. It goes into the affective domain I talked of. The research skills. Are you aware that we still have issues even at university level when it comes to researching? Go and get students' papers at the university and read. When it comes to citation, you'll be shocked with what you will see. So we still have issues. The students don't know how to conduct research. They know when it comes to citation, they don't know what they are referring to. That's why you see issues of plagiarism are very common in our universities here. Communication skills are very important. We have a problem here that if you are a talkative person, they label you as somebody who will be a lawyer or a journalist, that kind of thing. If you're a quiet person, they associate you with a scientist, whether you be an engineer or a doctor. But always tell people, who told you that an engineer or a doctor is not supposed to talk? You saw during COVID, whenever you had issues, ministerial officials would come up almost every day to inform the government or the nation what was happening. The spokesperson for Minister of Health, he is a scientist. But would he go and call a lawyer to come and present what he had to present to the nation just because he's a scientist? So all these skills cut across. We don't have skills for scientists. We don't have skills for, when it comes to self-management. We want people to be organized. Time management and whatever. All these things are cut across.
Very interesting, and of course, we've already said we need to have people that have the 21st century competent skills to be employable and of course to compete globally. Now, this brings me also to look at another area that is of very much importance. We need to produce a student who is going to come out and they do not only can be competing in Uganda, but even over. Now, when we were going through our curriculum, and I've seen many Ugandans criticizing anything that we have that seemingly is not centered on Uganda. Sometimes someone will say, what should we still have? I don't want to mention the topics, this and this in our education system. Why should we still have? And now others, when in the lower secondary curriculum, government reduced time of being in class. I think they study up to about 2, then the rest is practical time. But what is being done in this time? We still have many that believe either we do not have the capacity to put our students hands-on yet they're also losing out on time they would have spent there. So how best, because consultants will tell you what we are doing now is that this child, we can also examine other potentials, like the Western world, like the Finland you've talked about. But then some will tell you, but still, we are not yet to that.
This question of we are not yet to that, I think it should be eroded from people's minds. Why do you say we are not yet to that? When will time come? Once you identify that we have this problem, we must be working towards solving that problem. The education system that we should have, one, must be relevant first to us.
So now I get you. For those who say, let's concentrate on other countries have visions, and you find a person, some quote Asia, China, they study in their language, they study, their vision is industrialization, so the child right from infantry is brought to, right from infancy is brought to focus on that area. Then for us, we seem to be everywhere, yet nowhere.
And I don't know where this notion of ours comes from. Because here we are saying, the reason why we take children to school is to be able to acquire the skills to solve the problems that face us. So are there specific problems that are global? And there are those. Because when you are talking of global, we have issues like poverty. We have issues like environmental issues, climate change and whatever. Issues of the refugee crisis and whatever. Much as we are hearing about these refugee issues or either in Somalia or whatever, but how about in Uganda? Don't we have these issues?
We do.
When it comes to the issue of poverty, how do we solve poverty? The education the children get must be able to help us find the solutions to solve the poverty issue that we have in Uganda. So you cannot tell me that solving poverty in Uganda is different from the poverty people experience in maybe Taiwan or Indonesia. So when they are talking of going global, I think being able to appreciate other perspectives, that if we have this problem here, and maybe this problem people in Kenya are facing it, is there any knowledge that we can borrow from Kenya, apply it here to solve our problems, or any knowledge that we can export to Kenya to solve the problems? But I don't think that we have specific problems for Uganda, that our education should be tied within Uganda, and we do not need to extend it beyond the borders.
Well, time seems not to be so much on our side. Let me just have your parting shot.
My parting shot is that I encourage the government, especially the Uganda National Examinations Board, fine, we should not eradicate the PLOE, USA, and whatever, but the issue is on how these examinations are set, how the students are assessed here. I think with the introduction of the newly introduced curriculum in lower secondary level, I know they will push that to higher institutions of learning and even the lower, such that the examinations that are given to the students, or the assessment that is given to students, meets the needs of our learners.
Well, I just want to thank you so much, Paul, for your time. And of course, above all,